Hi friends, it's me Nicole. As you may know, one of my reading goals for 2022 is to read books from my Penguin English library collection. The fact that I have so many of them unread is very embarrassing and I want to fix it in some sort. So the other day I was thinking about where to start from the collection. I think since it's January and it's clearly where I'm most motivated, I might just start from the largest book. So I put all the books together, put the page number into a spreadsheet and sort them by the longest book to the shortest. And I'm not surprised to find out there's so many big books in them, because back in the days they were published weekly across multiple months or even years as serials at the time. So I think one of the reasons why classic intimidated us is because the length of them. But this year I decided to not be intimidated by the length of books anymore, because last year I read Red Comet, which is a book nearly 1,000 pages long if you don't count the notes. Though it's not a classic, it still gave me the confidence that I need to read longer books. So today I thought we can take a look at the longest book in my Penguin English Library collection together. And by long books, I mean any books that is longer than 500 pages. And maybe we can see what they are, and if you guys have any comment on them, any thoughts that I should know, just please let me know. And hopefully I can dive into them sooner rather than later. The longest book I have in that collection is Vanity Fair by William Makepeace Thackeray. This is a book that has 902 pages. I've already started it. I'm at about 150 pages-ish. And so far I really liked it. This book is talking about two young ladies in the early 19th century in England, where the status of the women are closely related to their family or their husband. One of the protagonists is a poor orphan who has to take care of herself, and the other one is from a rich family and she has the whole family to support her. Their personality and fate are quite interesting and quite different to read about, so I really enjoy it right now. Hopefully I can finish it this month. It's on my January TBR. The second longest one I have is Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. This one has 792 pages. I actually picked up this one in one of the Booktober that I participated, but I got so busy that year in the middle of October, so I didn't finish it. I've heard so many good things about it, and it's a lot of people's favorite. I've been meaning to go back for it for a long time. And this book is actually also unfinished, with a few chapters in the end that was unwritten before Elizabeth Gaskell died. But I also heard this book is very accomplished. So as readers, even though the book is unfinished, we can still feel very satisfied after reading it. The third longest book I have here is Shirley by Charlotte Bronte. This book has 702 pages, and this book was written when three of the Charlotte Bronte siblings died, unfortunately, and she based on a lot of characters based on her siblings and the people she knows in real life. Actually, I think she once told Elizabeth Gaskell that Shirley is Emily Bronte if she were born into a wealthy family. I read and loved Jane Eyre when I was small, but never this one, and I'm very intrigued to see the personalities of her sisters in this book. Coming up, I have Moby Dick by Herman Melville. It has 684 pages, and this one is, among all of them, the one that I'm most worried about in terms of reading it, for two reasons. First of all, I'm not a huge fan reading anything related to humans' interaction with animals, and this one is of course about hunting whales, although I believe that it's more about the human characters, but still. The second reason is funny. I've watched an opera adapted from Moby Dick, and the opera is very experimental. They combined technologies and the traditional opera performance, but experimental is the only good thing I can say about that opera. It's so dull. It's like one of the worst operas that I've ever watched. The technology is to only show the oceans in the background or something like that, and there's no stage design. The music was awful, and it's just very confusing. I even wanted to left early. So since that opera experience many years ago, I started to worry about I won't enjoy Moby Dick as a book also. But fun fact, this is actually one of my mom's favorite books, so we'll see what's gonna happen. Following, we have The Portrait of a Lady by Henry James. This book has 682 pages, and it's a book about personal freedom, responsibility, and betrayal. It centers around a woman who inherited a large amount of money and became a victim of Machiavellian. It's also a book reflecting on the author's opinion between the New World and the Old World. And I don't really know a lot about this book except that people think this is one of the best Henry James. Next, I have Friendly Parsonage by Anthony Trollope with 666 pages, which is a very lucky number in Chinese culture. This is the fourth book of the Chronicles of Barsetshire series. Unfortunately, I think Anthony Trollope is one of the underrepresented Western classic writers in China, so I've never heard of him until I came to the US and found out about BookTube, not to mention about his books. But after I found out about him, I see people loving his books everywhere. And this book is the fourth book in the series, and later on we'll see another book from the same series coming up in this video. I don't think they can be read as a standalone, so I think if I would want to read the series, it will be a huge reading project for me. Following, I have The Moonstone by Vicky Collins with 622 pages. I feel like it's very shameful to say as a mystery lover, I have not read this book. Vicky Collins is one of the first mystery writers in the world, competing with Edgar Allan Poe, and even Arthur Conan Doyle is said drawn influence from this book. This book is about a woman who inherited a large diamond on her birthday. The diamond is called the Moonstone. The diamond has great religious significance and is extremely valuable. So people are hunting for the diamond, and of course the diamond went missing and things started to happen. This sounds so intriguing and I can't wait to read it. Coming up, we have Villette by Charlotte Bronte with 616 pages. This is the book that made me started to collect the whole collection that I have because I heard this particular cover is running out of print. I'm not sure if that's true still, but I actually hunted this book down and wanted to read it someday in the future, but that day hasn't come yet. I've heard this book has more Charlotte Bronte's personality in it compared to Jane Eyre, so I'm very intrigued by it. The last book that is in the above 600 pages club is The Mill on the Floss by George Eliot. This book has 601 pages. This is about two siblings who grew up in the Dorcote Mill on the River of Floss, and it's about their family business, their relationship with other people, and their special bond. I've heard there's great metaphor in this book, such as the river, the windmill, the grist mill. And at this point, I just want to dig a hole in the ground and bury myself in it because I thought I read a lot of classic when I was small, but all of these books I still need to read, and George Eliot is one of the authors that I really need to read from. Following, I have 5 books that is between 501 pages to 600 pages. The first one is another Anthony Trollope. This is The Barchester Towers, and it has 594 pages. This is the second book in the Chronicle of the Barsetshire series. Again, if I want to read the whole series, that will be a huge reading project for me. Next is Sunset Lovers by D.H. Lawrence with 590 pages. This is a novel that's based on Lawrence's life. It's talking about in a family that a mother is extremely attached to her sons to a point that she's so passionate about them, she selects them as lovers. As a result, their sons cannot love when they come to manhood, and they can only grow up after their mom died. So this to me sounds like a mama's boys concept in the early 19th centuries, and I'm very curious about what's gonna happen. Following, I have Ivanhoe by Sir Walter Scott, coming with 583 pages. This is a historical fiction of its time, which make it a historical fiction. It says in the 12th century about one of the remaining Anglo-Saxon family where the son is out of favor by his father because his allegiance to the Norman king Richard the Lionheart. History about the crusade is not something that I'm familiar with, but I'm very interested in and I always wanted to learn about, so I think that's why this book is in my collection. Next, I have Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Finally, a Bronte novel that I have read in this pile, and it has 559 pages. I read this book when I was little, And one unfortunate fact about the Chinese translation of Jane Eyre is the title was translated by sound. And Jane Eyre, the sound air is literally the same sound with the Chinese word love. So to my little mind, the title Jane Eyre translates to Jane Love, so I read it as a love story. Well, it is true, it has a love story inside, but now I understand it more from a feminist point of view, and also it's a social study of its time. So I've always wanted to read this book, and also fun fact, this is another one of my mom's favorite. Following Bronte, we have another Elizabeth Gaskell. It's North and South and has 544 pages. I actually picked up this one again in one of the Victovers that I participated in. I don't know why, but it seems like during Victover, I really want to read Elizabeth Gaskell. This features a family that moved from London to a southern village called Helstone. It talks about the differences between village life and city life and how the different adaptation of the Industrial Revolution from the cities to the villages changed the people's fate and their lifestyle. This novel has been categorized as a social novel, and I think that's why I picked it up. But maybe me, I just cannot finish books. Next, we have The Attendant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte. It has 537 pages. Another book I started but still didn't finish. This centers around a widow who moved to the Wildfell Hall, and the small community of people in the town is very curious about her, and things started to happen to her. Majorly people fall in love with her, but also I believe her background played a huge role in the story's development. And that's all the 15 books that in my Penguin English Library collection that is above 500 pages. But I have one honorable mention in this video, and that is Evelina by Frances Burney, because this book is exactly 500 pages. This is about a girl called Evelina who is the unacknowledged but legitimate daughter of a dissipated England aristocrat. She was raised in the rural seclusion until she's 17, and she needed to learn and adapt to the social norms of the 18th century. And that's all the books that I consider big books in my Penguin English Library collection. Hopefully this year I can read or make progress within some of them. And if you have any thoughts, please let me know. For example, which book have you read, or like which book do you think I should start with? Or do you plan to read any classics this year? And don't forget to say hi in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thumbs up if you like it. And I wish you happy reading, stay healthy. I'll see you in my next bookish video. Bye!